Father, now I pray as we talk about really putting some actions to our words. And Lord, help us to recognize that worship does involve actions and not just singing and praying, but actually doing something. And so, Lord, we give this time to you. In Jesus' name, amen. You can be seated. Cover your eyes as the lights come back on. And as always, thank you to Extreme Light. These guys and lady were at Plaza Marachi Tuesday night leading worship, and it was just wonderful. And I was glad I was able to make it. And they just did really. They would have done you proud if you were there for that. Yeah. Let me just explain what we're going to do. Last Sunday, I'd asked Jessica Davis to kind of make a little bit longer announcement about KB and the letters for the governor. And, well, Jessica's a teacher, so, you know, a prolonged announcement means a different thing for a teacher than any, so, you know, a long announcement. And so this morning, being Pastor Appreciation, I was asked by a few people, so why don't we just turn this over to that and to KB and help us all write letters, and then you can save your sermon for next Sunday. So I'm like, okay, that's fine with me. That'll take something off my plate this next week. But let me bring everybody up to date before Jessica comes up, because, you know, she's got a PowerPoint, she's got everything, because she's a teacher. And but I said some of this last week, but, you know, KB is out of appeals, and also Kenneth is out of appeals. I appreciate there's some people in this church and other people around town who have listened to the sermons using Kenneth's drawings, who have been writing Kenneth. And so I appreciate that very much. And so he's kind of in the same situation as KB. And but being out of appeals means that the next step is an execution date. The Governor Lee stopped executions twice. When he first came to office, Governor Haslam executed, right before he left office, he executed 3 individuals in a pretty short amount of time, and then Governor Lee continued that and executed 5 individuals in a relatively short amount of time. And then there were 7 or 8 executions scheduled when COVID hit, and so they stayed all those executions because, you know, they didn't want anybody to get sick at an execution. Figured that out, but that's kind of the bottom line. Well, we don't want anybody to get COVID while they're executing somebody. So all executions were halted. I think now it was, I can't remember really if it was 21 or 22 when they started the executions up, and the first execution was supposed to be on Maundy, Thursday that year, and there was a mix-up in the drug protocol, and so with about 15, 20 minutes to spare before the person was executed, Governor Lee stopped the executions again and then stayed all the executions, because there were 5 or 6 scheduled that year, and turned it over to an independent investigation on everything about making sure the protocol was right. Because, you know, you don't want to execute somebody wrongly, so you got to make sure that it's right. And so everything has been on stay. The report, about a year ago, the report was done and turned back into Governor Lee. And then KB lost his last appeal with the Supreme Court, and everything's just kind of been on hold. But there seems to be some growing anxiety because of some things that have been in the paper recently, some statements Governor Lee has made that they could resume executions any time now, and they're getting closer to starting them up again. And my fear is once they start them up, it's probably going to be every other month for a good while, because they have to go back and start with the ones that they already had twice, you know, and then continue on. Somehow or another, but several months ago, through Senator Burchett out of Knoxville and a businessman up in Knoxville, there was a group of people who went with KB's lawyers, who went and had about a 20-minute meeting with Governor Lee. And I knew about that meeting, but because I've kind of criticized Governor Lee in the past, we all thought it was best that I didn't attend that meeting. And so they had a really good meeting, and after that meeting, somebody from legal in Governor Lee's office got a hold of the guys who went to that meeting and said that they need to go ahead and start working on clemency, which is highly unusual because usually you don't work on clemency until you get an execution date. And so the lawyers, that's when the idea of starting to collect letters came into be. And the lawyers were trying to get just some initial work done, but nothing was really moving too fast. And it was just get the letters in when you can. We've still got time, but we're just kind of working on this idea. Well, something happened a few weeks ago where this same senator in Knoxville contacted this businessman again and said, you need to get those letters, you need to get the clemency ready as soon as you can. You need to get in front of the governor ASAP. And so we don't know why. We don't know if that means the governor has said something. We have no idea, but it just kind of, okay, we got to get this going again. And so at the time, there was only about 50 some odd letters that had been sent to the legal team, which is way, way low. We were hoping for 100 or more letters to be sent in on KB's behalf. And, in Oregon, I announced it and passed out information on how to write letters to 1,700 people. And but anyway, so now the plan is the lawyers are working on the clemency, and hopefully we'll have it ready in a relatively short time, present it to the governor, and then there's a group of people, and myself included this time, who are hoping that between now and Christmas to have a meeting with Governor Lee. And I sent a book to the senator in Knoxville who has said he will hand deliver it to the governor. So hopefully the governor will get a copy of the book. So we're kind of thinking that, okay, this may be a good thing that they've told us to go ahead and get everything ready. And all clemency would do is remove him from death row, and he would go back to general population and hopefully revert his sentence to life with the possibility of parole, which is what the other two defendants got in the case, and they're already out on parole. And so with his good behavior, he would get parole quickly. Now, the dream would be just for the governor to pardon him, and that would be the dream. But more than likely what would happen is with the clemency, if it happens that way. So with that said, come on up, Jessica. She's going to explain about the letters, and she's got some handouts, right? She's got handouts. She has stickers, so if you behave, you can get a sticker. Well, although you teach high school, though. So, they still love stickers? All right, well, this group will love stickers also. But anyway, so welcome, Jessica.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. You had no idea you were walking into a writing lesson today, but I'm glad you're here. I'm Jessica Davis. I'm a personal friend to KB. Brad and I even invited him to our wedding back when he was first becoming a church member, and God has been so good to allow us to have a really good, authentic friendship with KB and walk with him and his family through this process since we've known him since 2017. And I always told KB, I made him the promise, I said, when you need me to show up for you, I'm going to do it. And I even told him, I said, if it comes down to where I have to be at the governor's office every day, I'm going to get me a sub, and I'm going to be down there. So anyway, we're going to address some letters, because the Bible tells us in James that faith without works is dead. Okay? And we all know the phrase, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. We need to put some pencil to paper today. All right? So I'm going to tell you how you're going to write your persuasive letter. So here we go. If you got a pencil, you got a paper, we ready to rock and roll. So let's get it done. Okay, so our goal of the letter, and if you'll look at here what I've placed on your tables, you've got a packet. So on the front has got the checklist. So if there's something that we have missed today, you can go back and you can revisit it. And then also, because I am a writing teacher, we have a graphic organizer for you to work on, okay? So if we fail to plan, we plan to fail. And my wonderful Hispanic brothers and sisters, I Google Translate to make sure that you have what you needed to be comfortable in writing in whatever language you needed to, okay? So what we want to do is we want to inspire Governor Lee to grant clemency, okay? So We want to appeal to his compassion. We don't want to just write a letter and, point our finger, no, you're wrong, this is terrible, terrible, terrible. We want to appeal to his compassion through heartfelt letters to show that Kevin is deeply loved and he's valued. So we really need to focus on the humanity aspect of our dear Pastor Kevin Burns. Okay, so some of the guidelines are you're going to address your letter to Governor Bill Lee. And if you're writing it on this piece of paper, I've already done it for you. Okay? If you want to mail your letter, we're going to mail it to Ed Yarborough, who is on the Clemency Council, and Megan Wartner, who is the federal public defender. She's our point of contact. So we are not sending these directly to Governor Bill Lee's office. We're sending them to KB's legal team, and they are going to gather up all the letters to send as one big pile. So the bigger that pile of letters we can make it, the better. Okay? And then if you simply want to write your letter and sign it, you can scan it and email it to Megan Warder, her email address. Okay? So once again, do not email Governor Lee directly. Do not mail this directly to Governor Lee. But make sure you write it. We'll send it to Megan Wartner, who's at the Federal Public Defender's Office. And we also need to make sure that you sign your letter that shows us that there was an actual human being that wrote this, and do that. Okay? So now we're going to talk about the tone of our letters. So how are we going to write them? What do we want to convey? So we want to make sure that it's positive and heartfelt. We want to focus on Kevin's character and his positive impact. So if you've been here at FCC for a long time, Kevin has been one of our pastors. We have over 40 of his sermons that we have recorded that are on our YouTube page over the years. He has tithed regularly. He has given his own money to support our mission projects in Honduras and various other things with the Williamson County Homeless Alliance. Kevin has been the best pastor and the best member of FCC in his situation. Speak sincerely, as personal stories are more powerful than scripted words. So if there's something that KB has mentioned in a sermon, or maybe there's a part of his story that resonates with you. Maybe you've read the book, Today, The Best Day of My Life, and there's a part of it that struck out to you or that you related to personally. Share that, because we need that. It goes into seeing him in his full humanity. And then be yourself. Share who you are, your background, your community, your relationship with Kevin. And then once again, share your story. If you know Kevin personally, explain your relationship. If you've been impacted by his ministry or example, mention it. But also provide concrete instances of how KB has influenced you. That's what we need. The more personalized and specific you can make your letter, and the more heartfelt you can make it, the better chance we're going to have of getting Governor Lee to grant that clemency. And then also highlight, why is Kevin deserving of clemency? If you've watched the ABC News feature that Lindsay Davis did last year, she talks about all of the inequalities and all of the injustices that have been done in his case. Feel free to mention that. And make sure that you're not just speaking about opposing the death penalty, but focus specifically on KB's life and his contributions. So really, really focus on KB, his humanity, how he's impacted you, his sermons, his story, maybe his attitude with today is the best day of my life, being extremely positive in a dark situation. We also want to make sure that we are being respectful of Governor Lee, so we don't want to challenge his faith or pressure him, so make sure that we're still positive and helpful. And we also want to encourage and invite other people to that have been affected by Kevin to share their stories as well. Oops, sorry, let me go back. All right. So, once again, every letter counts. The more heartfelt and genuine letters, the stronger the impact. Okay, so what we want, our goal would be that when KB's legal team goes to present this to Governor Lee, that he just has a huge stack of papers to show him that this is very important. And then also encourage your friends and family members to be moved by Kevin's story to contribute. You can also find us online. And if I can keep it 100, because that's just who I am, being a visitor at Riverbend and visiting Death Row has allowed me to see some things that I would have not have normally had access to. And one of the things that I saw on a visitation, I was visiting KB one time, and another inmate who was to be executed on a Thursday, we were visiting on the previous Sunday. And this was the inmate's last visit with his family before his execution on Thursday. And to be a visitor in the room, it was very, very odd. It's a very weird emotional experience because on one hand, you have this inmate who has this death warrant and this sentence, and the family's there. You are watching all of this unfold. This is the family's last time to speak face-to-face to their family member before that person is executed on that Thursday. And the weird thing to me is watching all of this. It was like watching a family have a funeral for a member that is among them. You see what I'm saying? Very odd emotionally. And as I was leaving that, I thought, that is so weird because it's like you know your family member is going to be executed. You know about what time, you know the date, you even know how they're going to be executed. And that just was something that I had never thought about until I saw it that day. So your letters cost you $0. And they're a way to show up for somebody who, if you were in the same position and the roles were reversed, would show up for you. So anyway, I think we're going to give you some time to fill out your letters. And for some reason, if you are not able to write it or type it and you need me to scan it in for you, I am more than willing to help you. I'm more than willing to answer any questions that you have. And I just want to thank you for the time. And I know KB appreciates it as well.
Can they write them and just give them to you today? Okay.
I'm not going to speak whatever she
You
said.
don't want me to speak in Spanish?
No. Nomás quiero resumir un poquito acerca de lo que acaba de decir Jessica. KB ha sido uno de nuestros pastores que está en la cárcel por un crimen que él no cometió y probablemente se ha ejecutado. Ya se ha salvado 2 o 3 veces de la ejecución por el COVID, por muchas cosas. Voy a resumir nada más, ¿ok? Pastor Kevin, Jessica, Davis y Brett han estado trabajando con él por muchos años, desde el 2017, y han encontrado que es inocente. Los abogados han encontrado que es inocente también, pero en cualquier momento puede ser ejecutado. Las cartas estas que vamos a escribir, de las que Jessica nos ha dirigido, es para pedir clemencia por él, para que cuando venga la ejecución, que en cualquier momento puede venir, los abogados estén preparados con esas cartas. Se le ha mandado un libro de los que escribió el pastor Kevin. Ustedes lo han tenido, no sé si ustedes lo tienen ya, y si no, cómprenlo. Se llama este es el mejor día de mi vida, que es el dicho del pastor Kevin Burns, que está en la cárcel. Cada vez que le preguntan ¿cómo está?, dice, este es el mejor día de mi vida, aunque está en la cárcel. Así es que si usted entendió poco de lo que dijo Jessica, y si no, voy a ver si podemos hacer unas cartas que usted las firme, a ver si ellos quieren hacer eso y poder enviárselas, si usted está disponible o dispuesto a hacer eso. Pero necesitamos más de 100 cartas, hay 50 ahorita. Así es que necesitamos urgentemente su carta para poder pedir clemencia de Pastor Kevin Burns.
Yeah, so if you would like, what we're asking you to do really is if you want to try to write a letter now, then Jessica can take them today and she'll scan them all in and email them to where they need to go. Or you can take it with you, but and do it later. And if you have some friends who you think would be interested in helping us with this, if there's some extra copies laying around, you can take it or send them to savepastorkb.com, and all the information is on there. Plus, those who are watching online, obviously we can't give you a handout, but please go to savepastorkb.com, and you can find all the information that we're sharing with our church today, and write those letters as soon as possible.
Esa carta que estamos escribiendo ahorita se la vamos a entregar a Jessica, ella la va a escanear y la va a enviar. También queremos pedirle que si usted conoce a alguien de que tenga ese corazón para clemencia de algún ser humano, que se lleve esa carta, se lleve copias y las pueda también llenar. Otra cosa es que también puede visitar a Facebook o una de las redes sociales y puede encontrarse allí y puede ir a salvar la vida del pastor Kevin.
All right, so just play some music, get something else to drink. If you need to leave, you can leave, or if you want to finish up the letter, then after you finish up the letter, this is just kind of an informal time now, but we really do want people to do this, and while we're all together, is a good time to do it. All right, so just some music in the background, and if you got, are there any questions? Any questions? Many of you have already done this because I've seen the list of all who all has written letters. So I know I've seen many of your names on here. So thank you, and write another one. I don't know, Ken. No, to be honest, not. And I'm not concerned about it being so short either. The idea is if we had a couple hundred letters, there's no way he's going to read all of them. It's going to be the stack of papers that's going to be impressive. Somebody on his legal team may read them. But so I don't think the length is going to matter one way or another. All right. Yeah, I usually preach to about, 25, 20 till. So you've got about 15 minutes to just try to, all right?
Thankful Your love that's never ending. Your love that's never ending. Your love that's never ending. And I am thankful, thankful for what you've done for me.
I am thankful.
Thankful for what you've done for me. I am thankful, thankful for what you've done for me.
Oh, I'm so thankful.
Thankful for what you've done for me.
Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? Like you could fall and no one would hear?
So let that lonely feeling wash away. Maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay. 'Cause when you don't feel strong enough to stand, well, you can reach out your hand.
And oh, someone will come running, and I know they'll take you home. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground,
You will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. Lift your head and look around, and you will be found.
yeah.
You will be found. There's a place where we don't have to feel unknown. And every time you call out, you're a little less alone. And oh, and if you only say the word,
Oh,
from across the silence, your voice is heard. And oh, even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again.
if you only look around,
Look around, you will be found. You will be found. You will be found.
out of the shadow,
Out of the
the
shadow.
morning is breaking.
Morning is
All is new.
It's filling up the empty,
And suddenly I see that
everything is new.
even when the dark comes crashing through,
When you need a friend to carry you,
and when you're broken on the ground,
you will be found. So when the sun comes streaming in,
you'll reach up and you'll
rise again.
if you'll only look around.
You will be found. God of creation, there at the start, before the beginning of time. With no point of reference, you spoke to the dark and fleshed out the wonder of life. And as you speak, 100 billion galaxies are born. In the vapor of your breath, the planets form. And if the stars were made to worship so loud, I can see your heart in everything you made. Every burning star, a signal fire of grace. And if creation sings your praises, so will I. God of your promise, you don't speak in vain.